Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Devops Watch with Kirtan. Today we'll discuss process for DevOps implementation in Salesforce. Before going through this video, please go through my previous video which is uploaded few days back. DevOps implementation in Salesforce. Please go through that one first, then go through this one so that you can understand better. For any query, please contact mbr.kirtan@gmail.com. I will address your query as soon as possible. Okay. So, for implementing the DevOps in Salesforce, we need three things. One is training on tools, training on process, and practice. Developer will do the practice on the dummy environment, and finally, it will be go live and hypercare. So we'll discuss one by one. So first one is training on tools. So what are the tools are needed for implementing DevOps in the Salesforce? The two things is basically needed. One is a repository, one is version control. Either you can go for Git, GitHub, or you can go for Bitbucket, or you can go for the cloud provided version control, Azure version control, or AWS, or you can go for your on premises or your own version control. And second one is deployment tool. So deployment tool, you can go for the tool which is available in the market like Copado, Gearset, Flosum, or you can go for the combination of Jenkins and Ant, or you can go for the Git Delta plugin with the Azure CI/CD. You can use any of your deployment tool, and you have sandbox and production sandbox. And one more thing you need a you may need to interact or to do some changes in your code, that is visual source code. And apart from that, I will suggest one more tool that is called GitHub Desktop. You should install in your system. So it will help you to commit the code, to check out the code, and whenever you will get some conflict, you can resolve the conflict with the help of GitHub Desktop. It is very easy to interact or to use it. So let's go one by one point in the training section. So training on the tools, Git basic training for the developer. In the Git basic training, you will come across how to commit the code, how to pull the changes, how to create a PR pull request, how to add a reviewer, and all those things. Git basic informations how to like um, generally you may need most of the times update the code, check in the code, check out the code, all those things. It will come under the Git basic training for the developer. I'll create a dedicated video for this Git basic training for Salesforce developer. Then GitHub desktop installation and uses, integration with Visual Source Code with Git, integration of sandbox with Visual Source Code, pull request creation and approval process, conflict resolution, deployment tool training like Copado, Gearset, Flosum, and with Jenkins, Git Delta plugin with Azure CI/CD, then conflict resolution process, cherry picking deployment process. These are the basic training need to be completed by the developer and a release team member. Next, going to training on the process. So process is taking the always take the vital role in the process. We need to define what branching strategy we want to implement in our project. So branching strategy creation and implementation, and then we need to protect our branch. So unauthorized developer should not do some transaction or do some commit on the branch. So we need to create the branch protection and to provide access to the developer we can go for the team if you are using organize git organizer, or you can go for the different access process to access provide the access to the developer. And deployment tool features walkthrough, if you are using like a Copado or Gearset or AutoRabbit, they have different features. We need to, I mean, developer need to go through those features, how to utilize those features in their day-to-day activities. Define Salesforce metadata for CI/CD. As we know, Salesforce recommended all metadata cannot be the part of CI/CD. Out of that, few are untracked. I mean, those cannot go through this configuration things, cannot go through the CI/CD process. That should be go through the manual steps, like after post deployment activities or pre deployment activities. If you have any configuration related things, then you need to, or release manager or release team member need to be performed before the deployment. So those things need to be decided what are the things based on the project. It varies, metadata varies. So which we need to, the architect or the release manager team both need to work on this to finalize what are the metadata should be the part of repository. And setup of deployment tool, if you are going for any tool, every tool has their own setup process, so we need to follow that one. Configuration and setup in version control as per the strategy and deployment tool recommendation, those configuration we need to do it. Then DevOps process recommendation, we need to follow, the training should be on the recommendation, like what should be the commit message, that those commit message will help in the later stage when we will implement the metrics. We can go for a Dora metrics or in other metrics. In that case, the commit message will help a lot. Define sprint calendar and all those things. The recommendation part, it will be. I'll create one new dedicated video on this DevOps process recommendation. So there, everything I will discuss. So in this point, we can just try to understand there should be some recommend. We should follow some recommendation, DevOps process recommendation, while implementing the uh, DevOps in the Salesforce. And next step is a dummy environment for the developer practice. Once the developer are aware of all those process knowledge and the Git and all those deployment tool knowledge, then we need to provide a dummy environment where they can do the practice. Whatever they learned, they need to do some practice, so then it so that the error or the issues will be less when we will go for the actual deployment process in the production. So in the dummy environment, I just segregated in this. I just put in the below points, like adapting the process, set of test environment, hand holding for the adapting the process, doubt clear session if any for the developers and the release team member, configuration of the deployment tool for the test environment, branching strategy implementation for the test environment, tracking the defects and improvement. Whatever the defects or issues developers are getting in the practice, we can focus on those things and we can try to improve all those things, so that the same repeated issues will not come when we'll go to the actual deployment process in our production. Then we'll come to the go live activities and then hypercare. So in the go live activities, it all should be the practical or the code will go to the production. So in that case, we need to configure all those deployment tool and branching strategy and everything. Whatever we have done it for the practice environment, the same thing need to be done in the go live. And verification and validation of the code which will go to the production, those things need to be verified first time in the time of go live, because the developers, they started using this process, they might miss like the on-track component, they might push into the repository, it might create a problem. So all those things should verify before the code move into the production. And finally, we need to support the at the time of go live activities in the production. And once everything goes fine, then we'll go for the hypercare. After two or three deployment, consecutive deployment, we need to support and we need to provide the informations when they need any help, a release manager on and a team. So this is all about the process, or how to implement, or what are the checklist you need to prepare before before starting your CI/CD process in your Salesforce project. Thank you for watching this video. For any query, please drop an email to mbr.kirtan@gmail.com. I will address your query as soon as possible.